Yo, what is up? What is up? DBS Podcast. Don't even know what episode this is. I'm so tired.
It's episode 111. Can you not make
Hey,
the first thing people
listen.
hear is
I
I'm
don't know what
tired?
episode this
Ain't
is.
nobody want to hear
It's
you
been
tired.
2 weeks. It's
Ain't
been 2
nobody
weeks.
trying to hear you
Listen,
tired.
it's been 2 weeks, and me and
We've been
Slow
gone
Mo.
for 2 weeks. All right,
2
they want to
weeks.
see DPS back. Let's go.
Yeah, I know that. Well, you know, they get a little bit of they get a little bit of the DPS every week when you on Twitter capping like you be capping. So
Capping on what?
I don't know, man. You be going
You
ham.
just be talking and just not making any sense whatsoever.
So someone try to say you don't be capping on DP on Twitter all the time.
Name one thing. He said all the time. Name one thing I cap about on Twitter.
I don't know. Right. What is your name on Twitter? God of something. What is it?
God the backslaps.
God of backslaps. I actually laughed when I saw that. So yeah, episode
111.
111. Man, we're already 10% through. Shout out to the 10%ers. We already 10% through, just over to that nice little 200 number. It's been a while. We back. It's been a good holiday break. Hope you guys enjoyed your holiday. But I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, the man, the many slaps, the man that actually did produce a video over the last 2 weeks. It took him like 6 months to do it.
Well, look, first of all, I said I was dropping the video last Saturday, and he was all like, whatever. And I said, yeah, I'm dropping the video. And I dropped the video. I mean, it wasn't like a highly produced video, but it was a video.
It was a video.
And it's about to be another one coming out. It might be a little spicy. Y'all could take it or leave it. But I got some things to say, and they're gonna be said.
All right. Well,
shout out to Dragonheart Yobi for resubbing for 2 months as a 10%er. Appreciate you, Yobi.
Shout out to
shout out some other people in the chat. Shout out to Dark Side for being here first. Arcade 4247, Bunty, Spider 13, Mishy Dies a Lot, Arcade. I said Arcade already. My bad. True Sir, Rail Zaire 00. Enrique in the house and the homie Bam. Yo, look, Bam is nasty in multiplayer games. Okay,
yeah, he is
nasty.
Really
that man is he. Don't let him try to fool you into thinking that I'm just okay, man. I'm just out here just trying to have fun. Nah, like he go in games slapping people, he embarrassing people, putting your clips on Twitter. Look, you get killed by Bam in Warzone, just know you're gonna be on Twitter, getting embarrassed right afterwards. It is what it is. Shout out to Bam.
Shout out to Bam. But so what's been up with you, Slumber? What you been doing? What you been playing? What's been on the agenda for the Slap Man over the course of the last couple of weeks? That sounds so lame.
I've been playing that sounded really terrible.
I'm so tired. Slap Man. Slap Man.
I'm recovering from the flu. That's why my voice kind of sounds the way it is right now. Oh wow, that's not the Bam. You're not that Bam. Oh, okay, my bad. But you know what? This Bam is cool too. I just know it.
You literally just gave Bam shine to another Bam.
That's fine. Look, he's cool too. I just feel it. He's a cool Bam as well. But no, I'm just recovering over the flu. My kids gave it to me, of course, right?
Of course.
They got it over on Thanksgiving, which always happens with my family. Everyone's like, "Hey, look, if you sick, stay home.
Yep.
Don't come. We'll send you some food or something." Everybody be like, "You right? Yeah. Stay home." And then after Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner or whatever, everyone end up sick because somebody just don't listen, right? So my kids were sick all Friday, and taking care of them over the weekend. I could tell the moment like I got sick, and it's just because your little tiny daughter is sick, and you just like you're not supposed to be so close to them, but like you just can't help to see they're miserable. You're picking up snotty tissues and throwing them away and stuff. You try to do everything you can to take care of them. Yeah, I ended up getting sick too. So I was pretty much just stayed in bed Tuesday and yesterday. But I'm getting better. Today's a lot better than it was the last couple of days. I'm telling you, if DPS was 2 nights ago, we're gonna have to reschedule again because I wouldn't have been able to do it. But like I said, a lot better today than before. I've been playing Miles Morales on PC. I know everyone has said, "Oh, it plays." Um, well, yeah, all the settings are just like Spider-Man remastered. But I think that it's slightly more demanding because, like, literally same build that I played remastered with, and maybe it's because it might be because of the 4K monitor. Honestly, now I think about it. But um, I'm playing it now like all 4K because I got a gigabyte M28U monitor. I think that might be the one thing that might have been different since the last time we did the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been playing all my games in 4K now, which now I'm just spoiled. Like I can't go back to 1440p no more. I just like I'm bougie like that. I'm a bougie gamer, bougie gamer stand up. And so I'm playing Spider-Man Miles Morales at max settings. Okay, look on my 3080 Ti Founders Edition, max settings 4K. I'm getting anywhere between like 90 to 120 frames per second.
Dang.
Now, no ray tracing. When I turn ray tracing on, now it's like more like 60 to
Oh
80.
yeah, you take
But
yourself.
but that's still like full ray tracing. But it's like even though the ray tracing, I don't think you really need full ray tracing with that game. More like just like ray trace reflections and lighting. The shadow ray trace shadows is always overrated. Super super overrated. If you would, for those of us who have a gaming PCs, you already know. But if you're interested in getting one, look, if you're going to AMD, you're probably ain't gonna turn on ray tracing anyway. But if you have NVIDIA or the Intel GPUs, which are for some reason better at AMD than ray tracing, but like that's about it. Um, don't turn on ray trace shadows. It's like they're not better than regular shadows. They barely give you any kind of change, but all they do is tank your frame rate. So it's like, what's the purpose of having that? So just don't turn
Right.
that on, right? But yeah, I've been playing that. That's good. I got back into. All right, people might about to be mad at me. I got back into a Plague Tale Requiem.
Oh Lord. Why?
So I like the first game. Stop saying slanderous things about games you don't
I'm,
play. Okay, how about that?
I'm just talking, man. I don't. You'll pay me no
Yes, stop
mind.
just talking. Okay, stop
Oh
doing
my
that because
god.
you keep talking about stuff you don't play, and people can call you out. Anyway,
That's one thing I don't do. Is that
you just did it. Anyway,
it was a joke.
you keep saying that, right? Anyway, I I'm only going like chapter 4 out of like 17, but I don't really like it. And I can't put my finger on why so far. Why I don't like. I really enjoyed the first game, Innocence, and I don't know what it is about the second one. Maybe it's not enough different about the second one. I don't know, but it's just disappointment, right? Disappointment so far. So I paused that. I'm gonna go beat Miles Morales, and then I'm gonna play Pentiment, and then I'm gonna come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've been playing Need for Speed Unbound, which is pretty cool. You
You
know?
did the trial.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Cause
I
I know you
reset
ain't.
up the
I know
EA
you
Play.
didn't buy it.
You sure right, yeah, man,
I'm
whatever.
about to say, cause I know you
So,
ain't buy it. Shout out to the 10-hour trial.
right. No, I mean, I just reset up the EA Play Pro.
Oh, so you got the
Um,
full version.
well, look, yeah, because like I gotta play Dead Space remake due to Cat, Cat Daddy Jerk.
Shout
Shout
out
out
to
to
that
Cat Daddy.
homie. Shout out to the homie.
So I was like, I mean, look, I'm gonna play this game. There might be something else on EA Play? This EA might be dropping something else this month that I might want to play too. I mean, it's really at this point, it's just a month and a half, really. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right? I'll just get it early and it's okay. Like I like the art style of it. Like the cars look good. Not like Forza Horizon good, but they look good. But it's like the kind of like the special effects when you like say you go airborne and your car hits the ground. And it has like this like sparks fly out, but they like animated, and your character, your person that you created, it's like cell shaded. It's different. It's different. I appreciate the the effort to be different with them. But I can already tell I ain't gonna play. I'm not big into races. I ain't gonna play it that long. It's just been a lot of like just
Need for Speed games are actually pretty fun though. They ain't been
say
that.
again?
I said Need for Speed games are actually pretty fun. They just haven't been as good lately.
Yeah. But this is one that's like I played Heat. This is better than Heat. Even I mean, like they start almost like exactly the same, right? But I played this. And I played Heat before. This is better than Heat. So I think if you're into racers, if you're into arcadey kind of racers, you're probably going to enjoy this.
Shout out to Erodimus saying my boy Slow Mo Backslap sounds like he should be playing chicken noodle soup and some NyQuil and probably a good night's rest.
That is exactly what I'm doing once the show is over. Guaranteed, okay? Guaranteed.
Slow Mo's here for you guys, man. He didn't want to go 3 weeks without seeing the 10%ers.
Right. Other than that, the one other thing I've been playing is Call of Duty. Modern Warfare. But people thought I wouldn't be playing it no more, but I'm still playing. Still dealing with cheaters. But I'm still playing the game.
Are they flying through the screen yet on Call of Duty?
No.
What they doing on there?
You saw my clip on.
I saw your
Twitter.
clip. My man blast you
using
through the wall
hacks. Like the only thing I've noticed is just like is dudes using wall hacks and dudes using aimbot. And it's just like the aimbot's really obvious. The wall hacks are really. I put the clip on Twitter. This guy saw me through 2 doors. I'm running up the stairs of a staircase in the completely other side of a building. He aims at me and shoots me through 2. Like you can shoot through doors, right? But the fact that the 2 doors were in front of him shows he shouldn't have seen me. And then got some people on Twitter trying to defend his actions. Oh well, he had UAV up and you had just killed someone. And when you kill someone, it pings. I'm like, I had Ghost active. As soon as you say that, they just go, oh. All right, yeah, he was using wall hacks. Of course, he was using wall hacks. The bastard had 30 kills and like 5 deaths. He has 6.0 KD, and everyone I was playing with Luca, my friend Numsy, and they were just
shout
like,
shout out to Luca.
Yeah, shout out to Numsy. That's my homie.
That was your homie, name, but okay. Continue.
I can't have more than one homie.
No, it's only one that matters.
All right, so Numsy.
I'm the jealous type.
You didn't hear what I said. That's great.
Yeah. I heard what you said. You said it was Numpsy. Okay, yeah. He has been your friend longer, so I will give you that.
All right. Anyway, so look, they was like, yo, who the F is Ariana Grande? Because that's the person's name in the game, right? It's Ariana Grande. So not only are you getting killed by a cheater, it's Ariana Grande, which makes sense because she cheats on like pop star boyfriends, and then also somebody named her in the game. So it's almost like it's a double joke, right? It's like, oh, I got killed by Ariana Grande, who's cheating, and whatever. Like, anyway, you know what I'm saying. So like the person is just like, you just get respawned, you take 5 steps, headshot. Where was that from? And then you see the kill cam, and it's just like, ain't no way you saw me. And it's just people and having fun. I'm just playing the game, having fun. It's I'm kind of getting into Warzone a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not really feeling it.
You actually playing Warzone?
A little bit. I'm not really feeling it like other people are, but it may be because I don't have a squad to roll with like that.
Right.
So like, a shout out to like Bam, who I was talking about earlier, and Stone. They're playing with Agent Deli, great friend of the show, Deli.
Shout out to Deli.
And they having a grand old ball together, right? But it's like whenever I play with people, it's mostly like we just playing the multiplayer. So I got a squad for the multiplayer, but they haven't really gotten into the Warzone yet. And that's not something that I'm gonna play by myself.
Right.
I have no problem playing Fortnite by myself. Warzone it's not as good as Fortnite. It just isn't. So it's like
with that.
I don't feel compelled to play it solo, and then I just like it just hasn't been working. But that is outside of that, man. Just the usual. Out here trying to get caught up on TV shows, trying to get caught up on books. And that's about it, man. What about you?
Me. So if I was to tell
Outside
you,
of working
all right,
and barely and playing a little bit of not Warzone, but Call of Duty. Is that
oh,
all you've done?
listen, bro. Let me tell you. I'm
You
just.
haven't beat God of War yet, have you?
Do you want to know that I haven't turned God of War on since we had the
Oh my,
podcast?
yeah. How are you avoiding spoilers?
Oh, because I'm not on Twitter.
I mean, you probably get a
Bro,
spoiler looking at
listen.
comments of a YouTube video at
I
this point.
haven't done that. Listen, bro. Listen. I have when I tell you I have been doing nothing but working. That's all I've been doing. I have literally had one day off, which was Thanksgiving in the last month. That's all I've been doing. The life of running two stores is ridiculous. It's crazy, especially when you're understaffed at one of them and you have to cover shifts at that store. So even you got to think, it's like even if you're only working like a 3 or 4 hour shift, maybe 5, at the least, that's still the fact that you getting up, getting ready. You never leave when you're supposed to when you're doing stuff like that. And then you just want to come home and sleep. Like, no lie, Slow-Mo. Like it's been great. Like today, I actually left work today. I left early today because normally I don't leave work until like 6, 7 o'clock on Thursday. I actually left at
Mm,
3:30 today. I left at 3:30, and guess what I did when I came home, Slow-Mo? Went
mm,
upstairs and slept till 7:30 because just how tired I am. Now I have been playing some stuff. Like I played shout out to Dealer. He saw me online. He actually called me. It's like jump on NBA. I see you've been avoiding me. And I'm like, no, I've been working and I've been sleeping. So I jumped on there with him and I was playing some NBA with him last night and went into the city for the first time. That was really cool because it was just like, pretty cool just to like play something different other than just regular 5-on-5. We were doing 3-on-3 runs and 2-on-2 runs. That was cool. It did, like you said earlier, we played Call of Duty. I think Call of Duty, the last time I played Call of Duty is when I played with you that day. Haven't played Call of Duty since. Outside that, I
Was
think
that a good night? I can't remember.
say what?
Was that a good night? I can barely remember how we did that night.
Oh no, we won. I think it was like half and half. I think it was half and half. I mean, I think we lost more than we won that day, but it was a pretty decent night. I mean, I know you had a really good night because a couple of those games you were like 3.2 KD or something like that. Um, Matter of fact, that was Saturday. That was last Saturday. That was Scumcast night.
Alright.
Yep,
It
that was
was
Scum.
after
It was
Scumcast?
right after Scumcast. So,
Alright.
so
Oh, that's a blur to me because I think I was, like,
oh,
in the midst of getting
you
sick, so it
right,
was like
exactly. So
yeah.
I've been
Oh, that's
doing
a
that,
blur.
but the fact that I and I was just hoping. I said, please don't say that you want to talk about Ragnarok because my first 2 days, like when I tell you, my associates told me they were like, listen. And the biggest thing that was the problem was I had lost 2 people at my other store, and
They quit?
yeah, they left. One got a
Mhm.
job somewhere else, and the other one he just didn't want to do retail no more. He said this is it. I don't want to go through holiday no more.
Hey, shoot.
I
I
don't
know the
knock them.
feeling,
Yeah, I don't
man.
knock
You
them.
can't knock that.
No, I don't knock them. But the thing was, I had, and they were both managers and stuff. So I already given 2 of the other managers at my A store. I gave them days off during those weeks because I knew I could cover it with the other people. But that ended up falling through because they left. So that's kind of was the domino of me having to like work an insane amount of hours, like over the course of the last couple of weeks and stuff. But I'm finally good now because starting
Wait,
next week I get my days off back again. I got my 2 days off in a row, and that's when I'm gonna really, really dive into God of War and just knock it out.
where are you at right now?
Do you really want to know the answer to that?
Yeah, in the story, where you at?
I just got okay. So I just left Sidri's house after getting Tyrell.
Tier, you
Tier,
mean?
yeah, tier. That's where I'm at.
Good grief. Okay, all right. So I can't discuss anything with
No,
you
you
then.
can't. No, that's why you think
I
I
I
even talking to
I can't
nobody.
even. I
No.
mean, look, okay, I was speaking very because like since the last time we did the show, had I beat the game? I can't
Yes,
remember.
you
It's been
no,
2
no,
weeks.
you were 17 hours in. You beat it like
Okay.
the week after.
Okay, yeah. So I beat the game at like 30 hours.
Yep, I do know that.
Um, I kind of so at one point I was doing everything. Like it was a side quest. It was like, hey, Kratos, I need blah 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 blah. Hey, I'm doing it. Let's go. Right. And then it's just like I just hit a wall, which is fine. Having too much, I don't have never have a problem having too much content. I
Right.
kind of hit a wall. It was just like I kind of want to finish the game at this point. And it was just like I think it was just I started to see the game design beyond the game, I think.
Ah.
And it was just like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be end of the side quest. I've just hit the third part of the side quest.
Mm-hmm.
Or it would be like, oh, it's here's a puzzle, fight, puzzle, fight. Okay, boss coming up. And it's like I could see behind, like what the way the director was thinking. It was just like, okay, I'm in this area. I got 2 side quests I could do, and then go back to Sentry's house. Or I'm just like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I I was so invested in the story, I just wanted to see it out. And then once certain events happen, which of course I'm not going to say because you haven't,
Please don't.
got there yet. I won't.
I know you
Um,
won't.
at that point, I really was just like, nope, I'm not doing anything else, right? So, but what the cool thing is that post game, there is like things that don't open up until after you beat the game, which is cool.
Okay.
And not just like typical, like of course there's side quests that you can do once the game ends, and they don't change, but there's like so much like extra dialogue and I think probably the best score, the best song in the entire game, you probably don't get access to unless you do something after you beat the game. And I
Okay.
thought that was like, man, it was this song was so good. When the credits was rolling for the second time, I was like, let me go put this on my let
I
me go
will.
get this on Google Music because it was that good. And so like I look, I am I've said this a few times, I've said this to you before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of a couple minds with God of War Ragnarok where it's like it's really neck and neck with Elden Ring for me, but I think I'm probably still slightly giving the edge to Elden
You
Ring
better.
because of the amount of time I put in on Elden Ring is ridiculous. Like I haven't spent I only other games that I've spent as much time or more than Elden Ring this year have been multiplayer games.
Mm-hmm.
That of course you spend a bunch of time in because there's no actual like narrative driven or like single player kind of content there. But like I've put like probably close to 500 hours into Elden Ring.
Yeah, that's
And
ridiculous. I I w- I will tell you this, and I do want to ask you this question. And I remember exactly where I am. I did play a little bit after that. I think I played. It was earlier this week. Now that I think about it, I think it was like Monday or something. I
mhm,
actually played and did Atreus. I did where you play as Atreus. Right after that, that's when I stopped. I did that
okay.
part. Oh, where you go after where you
Okay,
go
now
see
I can talk
where you
more.
go see
Okay.
Freya. I finished that when you go to go see Freya, and then you sneak back
Mhm.
to Sidri's house, and then you sit down at the table. That's the last thing I did.
I would say I enjoyed playing as Atreus way more than I thought I would.
I did too,
So much
actually.
so, so much so that I probably enjoyed playing as him more than Kratos.
That's what I want to ask you. Does it
Mhm.
seem like okay, first of all, the game is definitely faster when you play as Atreus because
Yes.
he's more agile.
Yeah.
But does it seem like like they scaled the enemy's health to Atreus? Because it seems
Oh,
like you kill things a lot faster when you're using Atreus than you do. I mean, maybe it's a placebo effect. I don't know. It
it might have be that the level of enemies that you fight aren't the same, and I'll
it
say
might
that
it could be. I didn't
when
know if they separated it like that for Atreus and Kratos.
the level of enemies that Atreus fights isn't the same as the enemies
Okay,
that Kratos
okay, they're
fights.
not.
Yeah, it's so I think that's it because Kratos gets the full bag, and I
Yeah.
feel like Atreus only gets like a certain amount, you know,
Well, you
like,
see the
and I
same
guess that's
enemies; they're just not as strong as.
no, I'm like, I think there's certain enemies, period, that you don't see,
Oh yeah. You won't see an
like,
orc or anything like that fighting with Atreus.
right. There's certain a class of enemies that you're not fighting with him,
Right.
so which makes sense considering, right?
I thought it was funny
But
how he almost broke his arm trying to smash that crate. I was like, oh, that's
like
funny.
you ain't your dad, little homie.
He ain't your dad, little
Um,
homie.
oh yeah, we definitely gonna have to have an episode where we really discuss just like hopefully you beat it
No,
before.
let's do it. Talk about before the Game Awards.
I mean that's next week.
I mean, I'll have it done by then.
Are you certain?
Yeah.
Because like
Well, how was? Yeah, I should have it done by then.
if I mean like you have to really go like with the way your work schedule is, you have to really kind of like I don't know. I would say don't feel rushed to do it, but you probably will have to bypass some like
No, I'm not.
serious side
I'm
content.
not bad person. Well, if that's the case, I'm definitely not. It'd probably be 2 weeks.
Yeah, so this is why I have an issue with people calling it DLC because it's like, how is it DLC if it's longer than the first game?
Yeah.
Like it's not
Well,
DLC. This
the
is the
cool
full
thing about the
fledged sequel.
PlayStation 5 though, it kind of gives you a update on how long something will take you with the card system. Because when I
With
was
the
doing
what?
the card system, when you hit the PlayStation button, the home button on the controller, and it
Oh yeah,
pulls up the
yeah.
cards, and it like
Uh-huh.
tells you all your activities and your progression through it. It tells you like when you're on a certain quest, it tells you how long you got left of that quest. And I remember when I first went into the
Mm.
mines to go look for them, like when I first got there, I had like tabbed out and it was like, oh, you got like 45 minutes left on the quest. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'll be in here for at least an hour, basically. And it was doing that when I started playing with Atreus, and it was talking about with Freya going to look for Freya. It told me like, oh, you got
Cool.
like 35 minutes left on this quest. And I guess they just take an average of where you are versus the stuff that you did. But it is actually
Yeah,
pretty cool, and it gives it
I
kind of
like
lets
that.
it kind of lets you know like, okay, you might be tired, but you might have 30 minutes left in you
Suck
to
it
push
up
through
and
this
just finish this up.
and
Yeah,
finish
right.
it out. Yeah.
That's a good idea, Sony. I'm glad Sony did that. That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know, so I'm glad you said that. I'll kind of keep that in mind next thing I'm playing on there. Because kind of like sometimes you're just like, all right, I'll finish
How
this
much longer
mission.
I got on this
Yeah,
mission?
how much longer do I have? Or you don't, like you don't quite know what happens. And sometimes, especially with a game like this, you think you're about to just like get to a point where you can just like, all right, I'm about to start. I need to go somewhere else. But it's like more like I can relax, and then something will happen and be like, oh no, you can't relax.
Right.
It's it's all going down now. So it's cool. It's cool.
Cool. Well,
Ready to get into it,
yeah,
man?
let's get
I
into
mean,
it,
we've been
man.
running our mouth for like half an hour.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not like a lot of stuff's happened, other than Xbox and PlayStation still fighting about stuff, which we'll talk about later. But
Right.
all right, let's get to the first one. And shout out to the Xbox 2. This is something that I heard over there, and it was being talked about in media about Xbox may be holding back games at the Game Awards. The one thing that we know they have done over the last couple of years is show off a lot of their newer, well, not a lot of, they really shown off Hellblade and stuff at the Game Awards the last 2 years. And a lot of people are really looking forward to seeing what Hellblade actually is going to be when it comes especially to the combat and everything, because
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
we got visual looks of it. We got a couple other screenshots and stuff like that, but we haven't seen the combat. And that's the thing that people are really looking forward to. But it looks like, Jez is putting out there that he thinks that a lot of people need to temper their expectations around that because
Oh
with
God, here we go
with the
again.
whole regulation thing going on, that they don't think that they're going to show off quite as much as they did before.
You
Now,
have
do
to
we do
okay, look,
we
I
think
can see
this
what
is a
Chaz
good idea, or do you think that this is
I'm not trying
something
to
that
speak
go
I'm not
ahead?
trying to speak for Chaz,
Right?
'cause I didn't actually see where he said that.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the acquisition deal will have anything to do with them showing their own games,
hmm
because
Well, some people say the same thing about PlayStation. That's why they're not showing their state of. They haven't done
no,
like
no,
a
no, 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 no,
major
no.
state of
What
play.
people said about PlayStation is that PlayStation has more timed exclusive
Oh
deals.
well, yeah, that's
The
true
same
too. That's true
things
too.
that they are complaining about with Microsoft that they're doing themselves. They got more of that stuff that they hadn't revealed yet,
That's
and
true.
doing their own conference, and which that stuff got revealed anyway, because the stuff that would have been in their own conference, these publishers went off and did their own things individually and revealed that stuff. So, but regardless, doing their own conference will show like, all right, hey, it would just gave more fuel to Microsoft to be like, ooh, see, look. But how is studios that you already acquired, already like or have been working with years, them showing their games? How is that any kind of like issue? I don't know. Maybe look, I don't know what Jez was talking about. And maybe I have to read it myself. But I just don't see how that would be a problem. Show your games, man. If you got stuff to show, show it.
Yeah.
Like I just
I just think a lot of people are
but
look. I think, like, if I had to like just think about like the way he was talking about it or thinking about it, it's just the fact that they don't want to add more fuel to the fire because everything that they do show is going to be in Game Pass. Part of the conversation about the Activision Call of Duty acquisition is about games being inside of a subscription service and how that can really move the needle when it comes to player engagement and everything like that. And they are looking at more of a scenario where if the more and more that we show of that right now in the climate that we're in, the more damage it could do to, the chances of them, getting everything versus having to do like dissent decrees or anything like that when it comes to Activision. So I think that's kind of part of it. It's just even though it is their games, but we're in a think about it. We're in a world now where you can own something, but you can't do what you want to do with it if this acquisition goes through, which is kind of crazy at this point. And I mean, I understand that's the whole process of why Sony is fighting the way they're fighting because they don't want this deal to go through. But it's just a simple fact of the matter that, everybody's on pins and needles. Nobody wants to talk or show anything. They don't want to announce anything. Microsoft doesn't want to really talk about things that are coming in the future because they don't want to make it. They want to put up this this thought of or this appearance of weakness. And we heard that in just conversations they were talking in their press releases or when they were talking back to the CMA where they were talking about, we're third place, we're not the market leader. Xbox hasn't, are basically saying our games suck and stuff like that. And in some people's eyes, they're going to be like, oh, this is absolutely the truth. But normally you wouldn't hear a company come out and say stuff like that. And that's why I think that sentiment is coming that Microsoft is really holding back some of the stuff that they want to talk about because they don't want to put that era of strength out there like a lot of people want them to do. What do you think about that?
I think this is yet another reason why I'm sick and tired of this Activision
Yes,
deal, and I want
agreed.
it to be over with because I don't care about appearances, especially when I know you're full of it. Which is I especially when I know you don't think so lowly of yourselves. Oh, woe is us. We're in seventh place on PC. I'm like, can you even name six other storefronts on PC that you're really behind? Like, stop it.
Right.
And then Sony's whatever shall we do without call? Shut up! It's not even that much of your revenue. It is a lot of revenue, but it's not that much of your revenue. Like, cut the cap. And it's just like there's way too much capping from both of them. And reading these, like I read a little bit of Sony's argument to the CMA and Microsoft's response, and I'm just like, bro, can I just get my sanity back and just like ignore this crap for a little while? And I would really love if they had something to show it. But like half the time, especially like I'll go back to something that Matt Booty said during Gamescom about how at Gamescom he wanted to show it was at E3 he wanted to show Fable.
Mm-hmm.
And then Playground Games was like, no, we don't want to show it yet. So he didn't show it. And it's just like, bro, it's your game. Like, I mean, like, yeah, it's their game, but it's your game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you are the head of first party. So if you who are supposed like this is your baby, every game out of the 16 studios that you solely manage is your baby, not just Playgrounds. If you say it's good enough to show, well, they just go out to suck it up and deal with the fact that you say it's good enough to show. Like it's not like he's telling them, "Hey, make this a first-person shooter." No, he's just saying, "I want to show the daggone game." And it's just like when I see things like that, and then hearing stuff like this, it's just like it's frustrating to me because I don't care about any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be excited for new games coming out.
Yeah.
I liked Hellblade 1. I thought it had some issues, but I thought overall what Ninja Theory was able to do with a shoestring budget, barely any staff, like only 24 people, and the fact that they were very fortunate to have their own proprietary performance capture technology to be able to do the stuff they were able to do in that game was great. It's the reason why Microsoft was so like gung ho about acquiring them because
Mm-hmm.
they shoot above their I can't remember the analogy. I'm sick right now. But look,
They punch above
they
their weight.
normally they punch above their weight. There we
Yeah.
go. They punch above their weight. And I've been really looking forward to seeing what Hellblade 2 is going to be because frankly, this is what I want from Hellblade 2. I want less puzzles. I want more combat. And I want more and give me just a little bit more story. I thought the story was good. A bit vague in a very, very and when I say vague in a very like everything's kind of like a metaphor or something and you really had to like be highbrow, high thinking in it, which is fine with theorizing what this means and that means and stuff, but I don't want Hellblade 2 to have any parts of it that's like the first quarter of Hellblade 1,
Mm-hmm.
where it was just like it may have been like you may have fought a couple of enemies twice and a bunch of really meh puzzles, and I don't want that. I liked how it got near like the third quarter of it in the end where I was like fighting for my life the whole time. And I really got into the flow with it because I think part of the problem with the first game was that like the combat wasn't very deep, but you in the beginning you fought so infrequently, you could almost forget what your controls were.
Right, that's true.
But near the end, it's like you couldn't forget because every time you turned around, there was another guy that looked just like the other guy, unfortunately, attacking you. So I want the combat to be a bit deeper. I want to have more than just one sword. I want to have multiple weapons, and which we kind of saw when they showed, which I think is also cool. It seems like every video game awards they show something to Hellblade, but the last time we saw it, it was she had a bow and arrow, right?
Yeah, she did.
Or a spear or something like that. But so like that was in-game stuff. It's on Unreal Engine 5, so I'm looking forward to seeing it look amazing because Ninja Theory is really good at this. But I also Ninja Theory is really good at combat, so I'm really hoping that like the combat really sings. And yeah, if anything, if that's really going to be there, I know there was like some fake screenshot going around saying all this stuff was going to be at the Video Game Awards
I
and
got
turned
debunked as
HFQ
soon
shut
as you
that
saw
down.
it was debunked as soon as you saw Returnal on it.
Exactly.
I was like,
Well, look, no,
what?
no, no, no. Look, when I saw Returnal on it, I immediately said, okay, that's for PC.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
And there
yeah,
is a store page
for
on Steam for
Returnal,
Returnal.
there
So
is.
I was like, that's why I thought they just be Sony would just be announcing the PC version of the game and their release
That
date.
makes
That's what I
sense.
thought.
That makes
But
sense.
I mean, which I'm looking forward to. I want to play it on PC.
I'll play it with you.
We could do it.
That's a co-op.
That's a bet,
That's
man.
co-op right there, bro. Let's go.
But yeah, I hopefully Hellblade's there. I'm looking forward to see it. If Hellblade's not there, I'm disappointed
I
because that would now be a full year where we haven't seen anything from that game.
yeah, that was the only reason I thought that I wasn't really disappointed that we didn't see it at the Xbox showcase is because when I saw, because people was like, well, I want to see Hellblade. I was like, well, they usually save that for the Game Awards. Why can't they show it? I was like, because for the last 2 years they've shown it at the Game Awards. So I was just
Right.
assuming it's like, okay, they're going to show it there, and if they don't, that's going to make. I mean, am I worried? No, but it would kind of make me feel like, okay, is this game in trouble? Is there something going on with the development of it? Because
Right.
you kind of been on schedule for the last 2 years. So yeah, not showing it is it detrimental? No, but it will make people kind of wonder, and then all of those conversations will come up again about Xbox and their first party studios not knowing how to, manage their studios, even though that may not be the case. It might just be the fact that they want to show it at a later date. I just think that I'm tired of that narrative too. I mean, they did it to themselves, but I
Mhm.
just want games to come out, man. I mean, we went through a rough year. I mean, there were some really good games that did come out this year, but I'm tired, and I know you're tired, and everybody in the chat, they're just tired of waiting for Microsoft to finally validate, on the game front. Because I feel like if you bought a $500 system, they
You want
valid
some games
yeah,
for it, right?
you validated the reason that you bought it because you already knew. But now it's time on the game front for Microsoft to say, all right, this is why you bought a $500 system. And that's what I'm waiting
Yeah.
for at this point now.
Yeah, I'll say two more things on it. So I said this because like shout out to Yobi in the chat. I saw this announced a week ago or so, where they said that they finished the mocap in Hellblade 2. And so when I saw that, I was like, cool, that's great and all. I mean, depending on how heavy the game is in motion capture, may determine how close they are to finishing it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they want to have a very lengthy post-production process, which is typically a lot of going over the game, what fits, what doesn't fit, cutting content, editing things out that don't work, fine-tuning things to make it feel better to actually play, realizing what a part of the game isn't fun, and just cutting that stuff out, and or just fixing bugs, because that's a part like a lot of the reason why you see a lot of games that like Sony games that have like very few bugs is because that they spend a good 8 or 9 months with the game really finished, but going through and just fixing bugs, making sure that it's polished when it comes out, and that's important. And I would love to see that be something that is known for Xbox games in the future. But I said this to a few people who asked me about it. I said, if Hellblade 2 is not at the VGAs, don't expect this game to come out next year.
Right.
Because there's just I have I just can't see them if they didn't show it. This is their last chance to show something this year, right?
Yeah.
If they don't show it this year, I can't see them like going into E3 or doing a random show in the spring and saying, here's Hellblade 2, here's all of like this content for it. Here's real combat coming out this fall. I can't see it. So what I expect to see is that they'll show Hellblade 2 next week. They'll show combat. Hopefully it's awesome. And then they'll have like they won't have an actual release date, but they'll say something like holiday 2023. And that would be what to expect from Xbox at that part of the year, considering that Starfield and Redfall are supposed to be for the first half of 2023.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that 100%. So,
but we don't see it. It ain't even coming out next year.
It ain't even coming out next year if we don't see it. But transition over for that, and shout out to what Rodham was saying in the chat. He said he's not really worried about a bunch of games being shown at the VGAs because of what Xbox announced for Game Pass over the course of the next month. Basically, that came out last month, going into next month. And and we got information that Monster Hunter Rise is finally coming to a console that isn't Nintendo. Can't believe it. It's finally happening. I think this is I actually
Here was me raising my hand real quick, even though you can't see it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't recall if I've seen actual gameplay of Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh, really?
Does it play like Monster Hunter World?
Yes.
Okay, now I want to play it then. I'm good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't like Monster Hunter World, so I will pass on this. But hey, it's awesome that I know a lot of people like that game, and it's awesome that's on other platforms. They're coming into Game Pass, and so that's great. That's great.
You don't want to. It's for what did you not like about it? You just don't like the grindy nature, because it is more extremely grindy than any other game you will play when it comes to stuff like that. So what was the turnoff for you?
I appreciate that each weapon is like a play style in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I like that versatility. I like that, like, you have to really learn a weapon. I didn't like any of the weapons, though. So that was one, right? I didn't like any of the weapons. Two, I didn't like the way, and this is all come from Monster Hunter World. I hated the co-op. The way they did co-op.
Well, it is an expansion. That's true. I keep forgetting. So it's still Monster Hunter World, but it's Sunbreak is an expansion to World. So it's just more Monster Hunter World, but the new expansion. And then they have another expansion that's coming into Game Pass this spring, which is the
Rise is an expansion of World.
Yeah, Rise is the expansion of World. Sunbreak is the expansion.
A whole new game.
Nope, Sunbreak. Well, I mean, technically, it is a whole new game when it comes to what they did, because they made a lot of under the hood changes to World with Rise, and then they did a lot more with Sunbreak. So we're getting Rise next month, not next month, in January. Sunbreak, which is the latest DLC that came out for Switch, that's coming in the spring. But go ahead and continue to say what you said. So I don't know. You might want. I would try it, just because I do think the thing that they did is they made it really a lot more approachable when it comes to Rise in general. So I think just jumping in there, just seeing if you kind of like what changes they probably did make when it comes to the accessibility of the game will be good.
Is it going to be in PC Game Pass or just Xbox Game Pass?
It's in everything.
Okay, I might download it and give it a shot.
Yeah, it's coming to it's coming to PC Game Pass, Xbox, PlayStation, and I'll get Xbox Game Pass.
Again, so I said the second thing I said. I didn't like I didn't like the way they did co-op. And here's why. You can't just co-op with a friend and play. You gotta do like the mission solo, then co-op with someone. It was weird like that.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just like we're together and we finished the mission, we went back to the city, we did upgrades, We upgraded some gear. We bought some new stuff. Now we're jumping back out there and doing another mission that both of us need to do to progress the story. It's like, nah, you gotta go do solo again and then get together. It's just like, why is it like this? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And then the third thing I didn't like kind of goes back to like a game design thing,
Mm-hmm.
which some people might hate me saying this, but I hate when there's no variety, and I hate when things get samey. So I started to notice that it's like I go into the wilderness. I'm hunting this monster.
Mm-hmm.
I get his trail. I fight him the first time. I cut part of his tail off. He runs away.
Yeah,
I gotta
right.
go track him again. I find him again. I cut off his pinky toe. He runs away again. I go trail, and then I know on the third time, now's gonna be the fight where I finally take him down. I'm just like, this is like after just doing that 5 times, like this is no longer fun.
Right, I get you on that.
And so I'm just like, I'm not having fun with this anymore. Now I only want to play it with friends, but then playing it with friends is the hassle. So now I'm done. And if that's the same, like if they haven't fixed that, it's probably still going to be a miss for me.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's cool. I do like the fact that I remember when Monster Hunter World first came out, it was a surprise. Capcom really did a number when it came to sales, when it came to that game.
Oh
It's
yeah, it was the beginning of their resurgence, which I'm
yeah,
glad to see. Like
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
Capcom is doing awesome now, and I'm glad for that. But it's just like that everything they do is just for me, and I'm fine with it. You know, I get it.
Okay. Yeah, but in general, I think a lot of people are going to be really interested in it. Especially with the DLC to Rise coming, which is Sunbreak. That comes the fall. So yeah, it's cool. And Tato's right. I was looking it up. So um Monster Hunter World is the main game. Then Rise is a completely different other game in that universe, and Sunbreak
That's what I thought. I
and
was like,
Sunbreak is the DLC to Rise.
okay, that's what I thought. I was just like, I thought Rise was a whole nother game, but
Yeah, I
all right,
thought
yeah.
the way that but the way they market it and stuff, it seems like it all ties together. But he's right about that. I just looked it up. But yeah, moving from that, because I think a lot of people are going to be, Game Pass has a lot of good games coming to it. First of all, did you play Evil West yet?
I did.
Tell me about it, because I have not. I was watching. Matter of fact, was it you I was watching? Did you stream it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it wasn't you. I was watching somebody play it. I couldn't remember who it was, and it looks so cool, bro.
Okay.
Tell me about it,
So
bro.
I like the combat. Um Game's got some problems here, okay?
Okay.
So combat's cool. I like it. It's good. Um I think the control scheme is a little bit different than most games, but I still like there's no problem with that. I actually like that it's a little bit different. And I but it's I've only really done the prologue. And there's a reason for that. Um Game design wise, I think like the areas and how the game is designed is very much like a Xbox 360 game. It's really, really old game design. Which, depending on how you feel about that, that might be a bonus for you. You know, it depends on the person. Visually, it's weird because at some points it looks great, and then at other points it goes, ooh.
Right.
Like who? But then like it's a double A studio, it's a double A game. You can't really expect triple A quality from that. But
Mm-hmm.
what you absolutely the reason why I haven't gotten any further in this game, one, I was supposed to be playing this. We're supposed to be co-oping it with Luca. That was our whole thing from the very soon as we saw the game, we was like, this is gonna be the next one, right? She was like, yeah. So she did the prologue. Told me her feelings on it. I was like, cool. Later on, once I'm done with work, I'm gonna do the prologue too. I did all that. We were supposed to be playing. We got on the play later on, and we ended up just like we started seeing all these bugs online, like all these
Jesus.
issues, people fighting bosses and getting stuck in the floor, bosses getting stuck and then not taking any damage, and it always seemed to be around bosses that these issues were occurring. And Luca was just like, right, you kind of just want to wait for a patch with this. And I said, yeah, I mean, I got a lot of games on my docket anyway. So I was like, you know what? I don't really need to play this right now. We can wait on this, wait till they kind of fix the game up. And then once I got some games out of my, my queue, then we could play this when it's more solid. But it's that's something that's like it's never going to be acceptable because it's like you launched this game
Right.
and you knew, well, I don't know if they knew, but clearly you did not have enough Q&A time with it to get it polished right and to get some of these issues not being a problem. And I'm like, nah, fam, like this, you can't release games like this, like this buggy. It's just not cool. So like, I can forgive some really bad looking textures on a rock face. I can forgive um like secondary character models looking basic. I can forgive all those things because you're a double A studio. What I can't forgive is it being a buggy mess. And when it launched, buggy mess. Um, yes, they've done a patch that have like released some things that I think should have been there at launch, and it's criminal that it wasn't there at launch. But I'm gonna get back to it. But I would say that it's probably a fun game once it's all stable, and it's one of those games that's like wait for a sale slash wait for a patch kind of games. But once it's like 6 months from launch, it's going to be a game that you should definitely play and have a great time with. But as of right now, it might not be the best idea for that now.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I mean, and there's a lot of people playing that game, and I mean, man, I was talking. It was somebody. I saw something where they were saying that the game overall was a fun game, but then we're starting to explain away all of the issues and bugs that like these games do have in this stuff. And I'm like, did we desensitize ourselves that much to the point where we're like, oh well, it runs good enough. It's running okay. I'm like, okay,
It ain't never
what?
me. You would never catch me doing that. Hey, look,
What is this
I, I
about?
I know there are some people that like they get into the tribalism kind of thing, and they're
Hmm.
like, oh, well, depending on the kind of game it is, and who published it, and who developed it, may determine how much they tend to nitpick certain things. But nah, bump that, man. If it's look, if you release your game at 30 frames per second, I'm gonna give you the smoke. If
Hmm.
you and that's the only mode you get in the smoke. You release your game buggy mess and can barely be played. You're gonna get that smoke, and it just is what it is. Like I think this stuff should be standard at this point. We shouldn't lower our personal standards of quality, just because we may like the idea of a game or that we're a fan of a particular developer or publisher. Like is none of that stuff is acceptable.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you. Um, Moving on to that. So we had Todd Howard did a pretty good interview. I forget who it was with. What's his name? Doesn't matter. But yeah, he did an interview and talked about a lot of different things. He talked about Starfield. He talked about Redfall. He talked about they were talking about Elder Scrolls 6 and everything like that. But the one thing that really stood out, the exclusivity part of, everybody always wants to talk about the exclusivity when it comes to these games and stuff. And he talked about
Mhm.
how Starfield's development definitely benefited by being exclusive to Xbox. Now, I think a lot of people took that and ran with it, saying, "Well, it's easier to develop for Xbox." I just think no matter what
What?
system they made it for.
Wait, what?
I think some people just ran off with
How
that saying
how
it's
they figure
easy.
that one?
I don't
Okay.
know, but people of the, you know how it is. It instantly turns into like the fanboy war. Where it's like, oh, yeah,
Right, right,
see,
right.
fan. So Todd Howard says it's just easier to develop because it was Xbox exclusive, and I'm thinking like, no, I think he's towing a company line. He's basically telling you us being exclusive on Xbox made it easier to make this game, but he would say the same thing if that game was exclusive to something like PlayStation or PC,
Right,
because when
right.
you're only working with one platform, it is easier to develop because you don't have to worry about different architectures. You don't have to worry about getting the game to work on different platforms and stuff. So Xbox having this as an exclusive is definitely a huge benefit for them and for Bethesda when it comes to making this game. But I know you probably didn't look at the whole thing, but what did you take? What was some of the things you took from his conversation in that interview about just exclusivity and all the games he talked about?
One thing when I watched the clip, I watched like maybe a minute or two clip of it.
Okay.
I don't know how these guys deal with these interviews and have to say the same things over and over again. Like
Uh,
he had to reiterate once again that Starfield is not coming to PlayStation. Like, hello?
I know.
What is
Hello.
wrong with you people? Why do y'all keep asking the same questions, expecting a different answer? Is that the definition of insanity? Like, stop. Stop asking the
Right.
same dumb questions. It's not coming to PlayStation. Get over it. And I'm not saying like there's gonna be some guy in the comments. We ain't asking for this no more slow mo. All right, I'm not talking about you, stupid. I'm talking about interviewers who ask these questions because that interviewer, after it has been stated, is only coming to Xbox and PC multiple times. That interviewer still seemed to think that he was going to get a different answer when he asked that question, and then when Todd Howard gave him the answer, he was like, like what,
Right.
what? Like, did you just wake up out of like a coma or something? Like, what? Why do you? Is this news to you? Whatever, right? So there's that. But um, to your point of like the whole topic of focusing just on Xbox and PC, of course, that like allows them to uh one act the way their first party as well as Bethesda's and the Max Media do multi-platform work is that they often don't use a port studio. They're doing the work themselves.
Hmm.
So like of course they gotta do all that optimizing themselves. No, like that's a lot less work that it has to be done when you're not worrying about yet another platform. But when it comes to getting the benefits of it. Like I think they talked about how like Xbox was they felt more comfortable delaying the game because of Xbox backing it, and it makes sense because I have felt that Bethesda prior to getting acquired was making certain kinds of games and releasing certain kind of content the way they did simply because they needed
They needed to get
to
it
generate revenue.
revenue. They needed to get it out the door so they could start working on the next thing. And then in their eyes, getting the game out and fixing it later was the best way for them to generate that revenue so they can
Right,
start working on the next thing.
right. And it's just like that's not that they may justify that as a business decision, but as a gamer, that's not what we want to see.
Right.
We don't want unfinished content being released to us with like, "Hey, we'll fix it later," because that's Fallout 76, and no one liked that, right? So this kind of shows that like hopefully this might be like the first Bethesda game that's an actual polished project. When it
Yeah.
comes out, I wouldn't hold my breath on that. It's still Todd Howard, right?
Right.
But like there's a possibility. Who knows? Um, I do think that overall something that should be acknowledged when it comes to Xbox first party with the studios they acquired is that they have pumped money into these studios and their games, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. If you look at and people don't want to give them credit for these games because they're multi-plat games, although Starfield, they can't say that for Starfield, but Wasteland 3, although that was a multi-plat game, Wasteland 3 would not have had a fully voice acted game if they weren't acquired by Xbox. Can
Right.
you imagine playing? Like I played Wasteland 2. Story seemed cool, but reading all that dialogue kind of got on my nerves after a while. Like having full voice acting, like the difference in the narrative and in getting you engrossed in the story, like you can't, especially with his good voice acting, you just can't really beat that. With Psychonauts 2, that game would have had far less boss battles. Can you imagine playing Psychonauts 2 with no boss battles? Like I
Oh
can't
yeah.
even. I beat that game. I can't even imagine playing it with no, like it would have been a significantly worse game without the boss fights.
Yeah.
And the fact that like they were able to have that in there because of the backing of Xbox and not having the force to release a game at a time when it wasn't ready, like those things can't really be ignored. Um, so I mean, all that said, hopefully Starfield is everything that Bethesda fans hope it is. I mean, it's not really for me, so I'm not really gonna be checking for it like that. But we'll see what happens. I think it might actually look at me at the top of the leaderboard. I just want to say that was my man.
I know you was waiting for the game to end so you can say, "Where was I at?"
Oh no, I mean I was just glancing at the screen and saw, oh look
No,
at
you
that,
was
look
like,
at
"Oh,
that, look at
he said that match is over. Let me see where I finish."
look at the homie hold it down, hold it down.
Man,
No,
listen, you
but no,
a beast.
no,
I'll
I
give you
just
that.
I mean, what are your thoughts on it, man? What do you think about? I mean, I no, we talked about like how they've been supporting the studios, but um, do you think that it being exclusive to Xbox somehow would have Starfield be? By the way, you misspelled development, but that's all right.
Did I?
Yes,
Where you see that at? In the title?
in the topic, yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
don't see that?
yeah, I do see it. Oh well, Taz isn't here to.
I had to do this, throw the spell
Okay,
check in
you
the
do the
chat.
spell check in there.
But no,
Yeah, go ahead.
what I was gonna say was because its development is I mean like 4 years, 5 years in development
Yeah.
total. Um, do you think this will be a more polished game than Bethesda has done before?
I mean, at this point, I mean, listen, man, okay, so first of all, now there's two different ways of looking at that. Do I think it is or will it be? Those are two different
Right,
things.
right.
Because will it be? I think it will because they're delaying it. Now, I feel like if you're going to delay a game, you should delay that game until that game is 100% ready. Like there's no reason to delay a game just to have to do a day one, not a day one patch, but like a patch a month later. And we're gonna talk about that with Callisto Protocol, which is something that I was like, I just hate when they do stuff like this. But I hate when you literally you have a game come out after you delay it and then you still have to patch stuff later. You know, I can understand a
Mhm.
day one patch because that's before anybody gets a chance to play it. But for you to have patches 3-4 months later outside of just normal bug fixes and stuff like that, you know, I just don't agree with stuff like that. So hopefully with this delay, I do think it's going to be probably the most polished game they have at this point. But also, I gotta be realistic and realize that
It's
even
Todd
when
Howard.
it's Todd Howard, and
It's Todd Howard, man.
even when they do fix and patch these games, they still have bugs in them for years and
Yeah.
years and years and years. So, will it be a
And and
serviceable
and and
game
and
at
that's where
the
they go, uh, community, how will you support
how
our
will
game?
you support our game? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. PC
Fix our
players.
bugs for us.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
yeah,
Thank
PC
you.
players. What do you want to do? You know, be a developer for the next 6 years and make this game that it took us 5 years to make and fix it in 3.
Oh, yeah, there's also something that I thought Todd had said, that I thought was pretty interesting. Something that people, it kinda I wouldn't say necessarily completely dispels the narrative. Like shout
Mm-hmm.
out to like people like Colin Moriarty who has spoken quite frequently about how he thinks that PlayStation acquisitions are different than Xbox acquisitions because PlayStation, typically Sony has had a long-standing history and
Yeah.
relationship with the studios that they've acquired. Not so much Bungie, but like the other ones like Housemarque, Insomniac, etc. But Todd Howard talked about how and to give a little history lesson, people may not realize this, but when the first Xbox came out, a lot of the exclusive games that the Xbox had were from developers who were at the time prior to the Xbox coming out, PC exclusive developers.
Right.
Bethesda, BioWare, like these developers weren't really known to work on consoles before.
Mm-hmm.
And they got their kind of Western developers and RPGs got their moment to shine kind of deal, and it was cool. But he talked about how Morrowind was their first console game, and Morrowind was exclusive to the Xbox. So was Oblivion, and so it's like, oh yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that. Like I remember those games. I remember playing those games and not liking them and installing it pretty quickly. But they were exclusive to the Xbox, and so like their history with Xbox in general is it's they have a deep relationship with them, so it makes sense. Makes more sense for if they were going to be acquired by anybody to be acquired by Xbox than say like Nintendo or Sony. A lot of those kind of moves make sense. Like if somebody was going to acquire Square Enix, it would make sense that it's either, I mean, at this point, Sony, because even though originally Square individually and that before they merged with Enix, Square initially was just on its Nintendo and Super Nintendo before they switched over to Sony for Final Fantasy VII. But they've been really working so well with Sony for so long that it wouldn't make sense to me to see them get acquired by like Microsoft. It just feel weird to me.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, it just at a certain point though, all that type of stuff's on the table and stuff. I just think that it's only a time. But yeah, when it comes to Bethesda games, I mean, the Bethesda thing lives on, and until they give you more than one game,
Exactly.
or
They bucked us as far as I'm concerned until they prove
until they
otherwise.
prove otherwise. So until they come out with more than one game, maybe two, probably possibly three or four that don't have a bunch of bugs in them, that's you're always going to expect that. But the one thing I will say is they do know how to capture the imagination of the people that like to play those games. And I do think when it comes to a system style, a systematic way that the game's going to be played, I think it's going to be pretty good. But overall, it just comes down to performance at the end of it. And I do think it's going to probably be the most polished game they have on console, though. I will give them that. Now PC, who knows? PC could be it could be dog walked out here probably, but
in a week, the PC version will have stuff in it that's like not even like
capable of on the console
because there's gonna be mods out. Good. That reminds me, I need to like before I go to bed tonight. I wanted to because like I said, I'm playing Miles Morales, but I haven't installed any mods yet. And the mods for Spider-Man Remastered were freaking chef's kiss. I loved it. Like I'm playing freaking as Deku. I call him Spider Deku. Deku from My Hero Academia. I'm playing as Spider Gwen. I'm playing as all like
have you flew
I was
around
having
Kratos yet?
Grand time, huh?
Have you flew around as Kratos yet?
No. Well, I don't know if there's a mod for that or not, but
I swear I saw somebody. Maybe it was something else. Saw somebody doing it as Kratos.
I know they had Uncle Ben's gravestone as a.
Oh my god!
Which I think that's so weird because you can't see any arms or legs. So how do you know if you're really landing hits on enemies or not? But I got it. I gotta check out the mods for that before I go to bed.
Cool.
But anyway, go ahead.
No, yeah, good. So moving on. to our final to last, or our second to
Second to
last
last.
topic. Shout out to Xbox. Shout out shout out to Anonymous, because we try to stay away from the Activision Blizzard stuff for as much as we can, but we definitely got to talk about this. Xbox, I think Xbox is getting to the point where they just want this deal to go through, and they're willing to do whatever they need to do, because they have confirmed that they have given PlayStation, well, they will give PlayStation, I should say, a 10-year extension on their current, not their current deal, but just on the licensing of the game. Meaning, Call of Duty will be available on PlayStation, not for the initial 3 years that they gave them, but for 10. What do you think about this, Slow-Mo? And what is PlayStation waiting for?
One, yes, they just want to get this over with, and they're kind of coming, like they see where the things are going. If things get like further delayed, they may have to renegotiate the deal. If this deal isn't done by July, the deal has to be renegotiated, which may be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It may turn out that like that isn't what Activision wants to do. It could break the deal up. We don't know.
Yeah.
But they may be working behind the scenes to make sure that whatever deal if that ends up happening, that they have a deal in place to kind of extend things along or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but like no one wants to see that happening. So I think that they absolutely were like, "Hey, look, what do you want? You completely saying you want Call of Duty? All you want is Call of Duty. Here's 10 years, okay? We can't give it to you in perpetuity. We can't give it to you forever, but we'll give it to you for as long as we see fit. It makes sense to give it to you. Now what? Of course, what they did is they called Sony's bluff, because this really wasn't about that.
Mm-hmm.
Sony just don't want this deal to happen, period. Which is
Period.
something I said from the very start. Like I always said, if you're Sony, you don't even want them to own this.
Mm-mm.
Because even though King has nothing to do with you, and like Blizzard games are cool and all, but that's more. Blizzard's always been more of a bigger PC platform developer anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's that Call of Duty that you not really cool with them having. Why would you be fine with your biggest rival owning the game that sells the most on your platform? And while you get 30% of the game that sells the most on your platform, they're getting 70%. It's like you're helping your competition.
Basically.
And look, that was fine for Minecraft, but now Minecraft and Call of Duty? Nah. So it's just like, of course, they just been saying whatever they thought could really make this problematic. And I think they kind of look at some of what the regulators have been saying and saying, hey, we might actually have a shot here of shutting this down. So now they're going hardcore gung-ho into kill it mode, which is also, I'm going to get this, their point number 3, why they haven't responded. Because look, you can't be like saying what is like a 20-page like message to the CMA, and then at the end say, and this is all these things, and this is why we believe this deal shouldn't happen, but you agreed to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You, by agreeing to 10 years, you pretty much just said, we accept the deal.
Right.
And we're just whining for no reason. And so you can't decline the deal either. And here's why. Let's say the deal completes. It gets approved, but you decline the 10 years. Now Microsoft has the leeway to give you less.
It's true too.
5 years. But you said 10. That was the old deal that you declined. Here's the only deal that's left. Take it or leave it, right? And so if you leave it, depending on how it's written, you don't respond at all. Let's say this deal closes in April or May. Hey, all right, well, You promised the regulators you would keep it on PlayStation. You gave us a 10-year deal. Let me look at this again. Let me get the dust off of this. Okay. All right. What's this say? Okay. I guess we'll sign this. Thanks. See, you wait until it's the only offer you have left before you sign it. And so they're just kind of hedging their bets. That's all. And they're gambling towards we can get this whole thing shut down, hopefully.
Yeah.
Which I still think it'll probably go through with concessions. And one of those big concessions is that they, in some way, keep it on PlayStation. Now, I think what might upset this is because in Sony, of course, they want to get this block, right? So this is what they're going to say once a lot of regulators say, hey, look, we think that 10-year deal you offer for PlayStation is pretty good. We're cool with that. Sony's going to be like, oh, but Game Pass. Game Pass. They're going to play the Game Pass. It's unfair. Our players are going to have to spend $70, but their players are going to just get it in Game Pass? And then Microsoft's going to be like, your own game that you produce, MLB The Show, is in Game Pass, and not only did it sell great on your platform, it sold great on our platform.
You know what? That's a good point. How the rooster comes home to roost. How the hen comes home to roost, bro. I forgot all about that.
That's going to shut the door on that entire argument right there, because like your own game sells great on your platform and our platform, and it's in Game Pass. So
that's a good point, bro.
what do you want? So like it's like this is why I say I think it's going to get approved regardless, because every single argument that Sony has, there is a very decent counter to that argument, and they'll do the concessions because they understand how it looks. You're Microsoft. You've had antitrust issues already. Lax says we don't know how good MLB sold on Xbox. Lax, we know that it charted on Xbox for months. That's what we know, and we know it charted on PlayStation for months, and it launched in Game Pass. So the whole argument that it's Call of Duty's in Game Pass, that's going to screw up our sales. Like, there's just no evidence of that. There's no actual, like, in their actual evidence of that happening. It has not turned out that way at all so far. So, like, they could say we predicted would be a problem, and you could predict anything.
Right.
You could predict there's going to be purple rain dropping from the sky tomorrow. Don't mean it will. So it is what it is. Check the MPD slacks if you don't believe me. But anyway, yeah, I mean that's just kind of like what it's going to come down to, and I think Sony kind of understands that like this is kind of like an outside chance that they might get it blocked, and if they can't get it blocked, well, cool. We'll take the 10-year deal. We won't like it because they, 70% of all that is going to Xbox now. But this is also why they've been making the moves that they've been making for, the past year. Bungie, having Bungie tutor, younger developers with live service games. The whole purpose, the whole goal here is to, by the time you get to a point where potentially you might lose Call of Duty, or now you're starting to see the shift of Call of Duty players starting to play, get Xboxes because it's in Game Pass if that's what they want, or the marketing, because that's really a lot of it's the marketing with the casual market. The marketing is all Xbox, so they just get it on. They just buy an Xbox and get it on Xbox. That won't be everybody, but you'll see some people do that. And when that happens, they start to see the shifting of the dynamics. They can say, "Hey, well, look, we got Deviation Games' game. We've got Factions 2. We've got Haven Studios game. we've got all this other stuff that's coming, and it's all exclusive to the PlayStation ecosystem of PlayStation and PC because unless us going day and PC, you know it, baby. And and they can be like, so hopefully we don't need COD like that. But I mean, this is why they're making the kind of moves that they're making because you have to be prepared. Like, and Jim Ryan is I don't know, people really can't stand Jim Ryan right now on both sides, PlayStation and Xbox, but I think he's doing what he has to do in this situation. You fight for your company's interests, no matter how it makes you look. And then on the back end, in the boardrooms internally, you are preparing for a future where you might lose it. You know?
Yeah. The funny thing about every time Jim Ryan opens his mouth when he talks about this, he always talk about we want to protect our players. You just said a really interesting word, the word interest. Their interests. So what you need to do going forward, everybody, and this isn't like hate at PlayStation. This is just how all companies operate when it comes to stuff like this. When they talk about you as the consumer being the focus, all you need to do is take that one word, you as a player, or you, when they say you, exchange it for interest. Because that's literally all this is. It's in the interest of the company to do what they're doing. It has nothing to do with you as a player, because guess what? There's players the last 2 years of COVID have proved one thing and one thing definitely certain, that gaming will always be something that is always around, because it's one of those passive things that you can do in the comfort of your own home. There is sleep or slow. As long as we got power and internet, you will always have people out here playing games, because it is a nice little retreat from normal life. And we saw gaming double in size over the course of the last 2 years. In some cases, triple, depending on what part of the gaming you're in. But always take that one word. When he says players, it's not players. Yes, players do help with that, but it's the interest of the company that they're really fighting for. And they're fighting to make sure that PlayStation doesn't get the short end of the stick when it comes to Call of Duty and the 30% that Microsoft is going to be getting from them on every copy sold. And you're talking about now that's going straight. Before, you got to think, Microsoft is getting their money from, not Microsoft, Xbox is getting their money from Microsoft. Once the Call of Duty acquisition goes through, that is going underneath the Xbox banner, meaning Xbox will actually be, it's not Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft is the subsidiary, is the holder of Xbox, but that money will go under gaming, which will go under Xbox, and then you'll start seeing Xbox itself starting to chart under gaming, instead of them having to hide the numbers basically inside of Azure Cloud and stuff like that. You'll see actual whole numbers, because they're going to be like, oh, gaming or Xbox. They won't just say gaming made. They'll say Xbox made blank billions of dollars, because Call of Duty's underneath that. And that's something that they don't want to have gamers or publications really talking about, because that's a huge number every year that could catapult them to, like, you know, people saying like, well, is Xbox better than PlayStation because they make more money in revenue and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And they don't want to lose
But
that talking point.
I don't think they're, even with this deal, they're not going to
No,
be
they won't.
making more revenue than PlayStation.
No, but those are still huge numbers. Because
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, it definitely brings them closer.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to put them over. I think in the console market, it'll put them over Nintendo revenue wise, which I think they've always been kind of close to Nintendo. You know, Nintendo makes a lot share of their like hardware and software sales, and never really put anything on sale. But hardware sales are so less, you know, at a lower price, and they don't really care for services like that. But services are like the bread and butter of Xbox.
Yeah.
And a lot of their revenue comes from 15% from Game Pass, a lot of it from like Xbox Live, and then of course like microtransactions from like live service games, stuff like that. But like those games don't really exist too much on Switch, and is or isn't the primary place people want to play those games
Right. Yeah,
on a on
exactly.
a on a obsolete Switch. So yeah, that, but even like as they said, like if this deal goes through, overall revenue wise, they're still behind Tencent and Sony.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's
I, I
cool.
I see what you mean though. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool, and I mean, in general, it just ultimately comes back to gaming is a very expensive hobby, and Sony wants to keep you in their ecosystem as long as possible because they know how much money people spend, and it is what it is on that. So,
Hmm.
all right, shout out to the last topic, Callisto Protocol. Slow-mo. First of all,
What?
we got 24 hour. Well, the game actually releases in an hour and a half. Um, there is a beautiful tier over on Somo's channel called the Mid Baxter's Plus build that you can subscribe to for $100 if you want to get Slow Mo to play this game. I
Or
would
not?
or not, but yes, some information came out around the PC. I know if Slow Mo does play, that's where it's going to be at. And definitely want to talk about, because every time we get some PC specs, we definitely need to talk about the PC specs because PC specs is where it's at. So as of right now on my screen, Callisto Protocol PC settings. Oh my God, these settings for minimum slow mo. What does that say for minimum on the screen if you're looking at it?
Okay, a little small, but I got it. A 1060. Oh, that's pretty basic. Okay, 8 gigs of RAM. Come
Mm-hmm.
on,
I'll,
8 gigs of RAM
I'll
and
pull it up for
a
you.
Ryzen 5 2600 or i5 8400. Yeah, that's real basic.
Basic,
Hmm.
basic. And you
And
see,
recommended is a 1070 and a 5700.
yeah,
Not even
recommend.
the XT.
Not even
And
XT.
16 gigs of RAM, i7 8700, and Ryzen 5 3600. Like that's pretty reasonable
Now,
for PC.
the funny thing is, let me see if I can well, we're on the Xbox because for some reason the it doesn't allow me to share my PC monitor over here. But
Hmm.
they announced the the recommended specs for ultra settings and max settings in slow-mo. Oh boy. Where they at? Oh boy, the max settings for this game is pretty incredible because it's they did it on their Twitter account, and here they are somewhere on this list. But I'll just tell you because it is a live what's the name? The
Hmm.
max settings is a 30 for ultra settings. They set a 3080. So a
It's
30
funny.
a 3080 is max settings for Callisto Protocol. Now, guess what it was for 1080, not 1080p, for high settings. So not max.
2080 Ti.
2080 Ti.
Wow, I just guessed that off the top of my head, and I was
Yes.
right.
2080 Ti is the max settings for Callisto Protocol. And I don't know why they're not letting me pull it up, which is crazy. They put it on their Twitter account. But so what are we thinking? So okay, yeah, here we go right here. So this is minimum. Oh, shout out to Aranis with the $5 super chat. He says you need through a banner up when you start talking about letters and numbers and specs. Oh, here it is right here. Okay. You click on that. No, we don't need that. Click on it. All right.
This
There it is, slow
is
mo.
why I have this stuff prepared before I
Well,
even.
I forgot because I was trying to do it on my PC and I didn't. So max settings requires 64-bit processor, operating system, Windows 10 and 11, Ryzen 7 27.
2080 Ti. That's a 2070.
Oh, it says 2070. Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
2070.
not even a super, just a regular
Just a
2070.
2070. So
And the 6700 XT. I mean, that's still pretty reasonable for max settings. Ultra is 6900 XT and a 3080, which 6900 XT is like the second most powerful RDNA 2 card.
mhm.
3080 is the third, okay, now fifth most
Fifth
powerful
most powerful card now.
NVIDIA card. So I still think this is pretty
No, it's
reasonable.
pretty good. Look at the. What do you think about those CPUs? That especially those 39. So the i9. What do you have? You have an i9 9900K, don't you? Is
I
that?
have an i7
Oh,
9700K.
so you got the. So
So
you got
basically, I have the one for that they
for
have
max
showing
settings.
for max settings. Yeah.
Okay, so you can run this game comfortably.
Oh yeah,
We
absolutely.
need to find a way to get you to play this game.
No,
You find to
I'm
get
good.
it. I almost went up to my if it wasn't for the fact that this show was going on today, I would be at my store. I would have been in my store at 9:00 because we had a 9:00 release of it, and I would have got it tonight. But I'll just get it tomorrow when I go into work. But Slomo. So where do we? So we consistently see the 16 gigs of RAM. When do we
Mhm.
get to,
Which is the standard. That's been the standard for like
that's the standard now.
3 years now.
So
Yeah.
so what do you think is going to be the next delta point when it comes to PC specs? What is the next thing that you think is going to get pushed? Because I think 16 gigs might be the standard for a while.
No, I
What do
disagree.
you
I
think?
actually
So you think that's going to be the
I
next one?
think starting next year, you're gonna start seeing it being normalized as 32 gigs.
Somebody's going to probably say, why not 24? Well, because memory doesn't work that way.
So what?
I said somebody probably is going to say, why not 24 gigs? And I'm going to be like, well, memory. I'm going to be like, well, memory doesn't work that way.
Well, exactly. Especially when you're doing your dual channeling
Yeah,
your RAM.
they don't make sticks
Um,
in six gig
I say
increments.
that because even like older live service games like the Division 2 are pushing it's a Ubisoft game, so it's highly unoptimized to begin with. Sorry, Ubisoft, any Ubisoft or former Ubisoft developers listening to this, but y'all know how it is. Y'all know how it is. But the Division 2 would do anywhere between 19 to 21 gigs of RAM right
Mhm.
now. Both Spider-Man Remastered and Miles Morales do over 20 gigs of RAM right now.
Mhm.
Basically, any AAA game that's brand new that I play on my PC right now will use more than 16 gigs. You know, the only stuff that is 16 gigs of RAM are older games or less demanding. Like Rogue Company is not very demanding. That game will probably just barely do like 12, 14, anywhere to 16 gigs. Like nothing else is really doing more than that. So it's usually just a brand new game that comes out like Need for Speed Unbound. I expect it to be beyond 16 gigs of RAM.
Right.
So I think the next like threshold that people like, if you're PC gaming, you need to just do this. Like this isn't a choice anymore. You need to do it in order to play games comfortably and actually enjoy smooth performance. 32 gigs of RAM
Mm.
is no longer just for content creators.
It's not an option anymore, basically.
Yeah, give it a year from now, everyone's going to be on 32 gigs because they need it. They need it for gaming. And when that happens, I already got another RAM kit in my cart. I'm going to just install. I'm going to install another RAM kit for mine. So
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Shoot, I'm with
yeah,
you.
I'm gonna go up to 64.
I'm with you. 60. I'm going up. Yeah, I'm at 32 now. I'll be at 64 probably at some point next year. Middle of the year, I'll be at 64.
Yeah,
Minimum.
I might do it depending on, like, I almost pulled the trigger on it Black Friday because it was, what was that price down? I think it was down to almost less than $100. my rank for the Corsair Vengeance. Let me look it up real quick. Corsair Vengeance, 32 gig kit, 3200 megahertz speed. Yeah, I think it was like it's $112. Yeah, I almost pulled the trigger then. As soon as it dips under $100, I'm just gonna go
Just go ahead
do
and
it.
just buy it.
Yep.
Yeah, I have Corsair Dominator, Dominator RAM, the RGB variant of it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I got Vengeance Pro RGB.
Did I say Dominator? Yeah, Vengeance Pro. That's what I have. Vengeance Pro. Oh yeah, cool. Well, Slow-Mo, I hope to see you one day playing this game. It's gonna be a great
Doubt it.
time.
Doubt it, sir.
Actually, I don't have to be to work till 4. You know what? Are you streaming tomorrow? Or are you just gonna be because you not feeling you gonna just try to sleep it up?
If I have time after work, I might be doing it. And if I stream anything, it's probably going to be my second playthrough of The Devil in Me, which is I forgot that's another game I'm playing, and I'm also disappointed with. So far, it's the worst of the Dark
Dark
Picture
Pictures
games.
Almost.
Man, they dropped 2 dozen this year, it seems like, but
Well, there it is.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna flat out say that's the case until I finish it, but so far, after 2 hours, not the best.
Wow. Well, I'm going to get my game in the morning, so I might stream my start of the playthrough tomorrow before I go to work at 4. That's another cool thing. You know, when you're so tired and you work so much, I looked at my schedule at work today, and I was leaving early today. I was like, what time do I work tomorrow? I was like, I know I close, but do I work at 1? And when I saw that thing said 4 o'clock Slow-Mo, I was like, oh, past self, thank future self. I haven't got to be to work till 4. I only work 5 hours tomorrow. Thank God. So I'm gonna go pick that up tomorrow, and I might stream it. But with that being said, Slow-Mo, that's it for the show, man. Ain't no reason for us to stay around here and drag this on. We hit everything. We were efficient as heck today. And I definitely want to get you so you can start feeling better and lay your butt down. So please tell it. Oh well, speaking of which, let's do our channel members real quick before we do that. I have mine
Will
up to give you a
do.
chance to pull yours up. So
Uh,
shout out to the homie Dragonheart Yobi, 2-month streak. Got them man ham with the 3-month streak. Texas on a 3-month streak. I'm a rich swag lord. He's on a 4-month streak. Ramon Terrell's on a 5-month streak. Hargi Shanice on a 5-month streak. The homie Sir Taz 117 also on a 5-month. Stardust Acero, shout out to you with the 5 months. Brat Basement Radio Arcade Podcast is on a 5-month. Corey Hale on a 6 months, been a member since we started doing this. Same for Cat Daddy Lurk, 6 months. Erodimus with the 6 months. The homie Slow-Mo Backslap with the 6 months. DJ Oris with the 6 months. And the man, the myth, the man that's always here at the very beginning of every show for the most part, that guy Smitty on a 6-month streak. What about you, Slow-Mo?
I have Cat Daddy Lurk who has rejoined at the DPS class because he did not want to
He didn't want to pay again.
he didn't want to hit me with another game to play. Yobi, who rejoined at the 10%er. And I'll do all the 10%ers real quick.
Yeah,
Yobi, Enrique, Texas, Ham Solo, Truth Serum, homie Juan Kenobi, Bunty, Sir Taz, and Stardust Acero. The support class is Ramon Terrell, and the DPS class is Cat Daddy Lurk, Hargi Shani, Big Mike, Gaming Forte, Corey Hill, and that guy Smitty, and our tank class is Erodimus. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate snap!
shout out
Erodimus
to
out here
Erodimus.
gifting memberships out here. All right, shout out to Erodimus.
Shout out to Erodimus. He gifted a member to True Serum, to Big Bad Mo, to Mike Andy, to J Dab,
and
Texas Lean. Shout out to you guys, man. Welcome to the 10% party, and always appreciate you, Erodimus. As you can see, I stuck to my word so far. You have not seen Destiny gameplay on this channel, but it's coming up to an end. You got 1 more month of this, sir. 1 more month. But with that being said, Slow-Mo, what you got going on your channel? Where can people find you and everything like that?
Slow mo backslap on everything. That's now okay. Hive, TikTok,
Oh, Hive! Shout
Instagram,
out to Hive.
Twitch,
I need to follow you on Hive.
YouTube, and Twitter. You know, all the social media platforms. Slow mo backslap. Um, I might. I'm definitely going to do some streaming this weekend. Um, if not just The Devil in Me, but I'm also going to stream because Fortnite is ending its chapter on Saturday. And it's either Saturday or Sunday where they're beginning a whole new chapter. So if they do some huge big event where they just got like a huge black hole that everyone's staring at or some crazy thing they're doing, I'm going to stream that. So come through. And if I get a chance to play it and the servers aren't dead, you know, we'll get to see how it goes. And other than that, I do have another video planned that hopefully will be out before we do DPS next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel. So hope you guys check that out too. And if I don't see you, have a good one. Enjoy your games and be safe.
Absolutely. Shout out to homeboy Ramon Terrell. Says, yo, I just got out of Wakanda Forever. Did you see that, Slow-Mo?
I did see it.
So good.
That was good.
It was good. What was your favorite part? Oh, not giving spoilers on it, but we'll put it this way: the beginning, I almost cried. The what was it? You consider it the moment of silence? I thought that was really cool. Because you know you're used to the Marvel music blasting when they're doing the intro, and I was like, this is cool, and it was like kind of a moment of silence, and I was like, I was kind of touched by that. And then the end of it, the trailer, not the trailer, but the end scene, I was like, that's cool. I really like
I'm
that
of
too.
two minds with the movie because although I liked what they did, and I respect Ryan Coogler for being able to kind of put what he was able to put together with so much that was going on, the tragedy of Chadwick Boseman's unfortunate passing.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's the foundation of the movie. His character was his work. It's like be able to kind of either put anything of quality together whatsoever is admirable. That said, I didn't like what they did with Namor. I didn't
I
like.
agree with that. Yeah.
That's the issue for me because I'm a fan of the character from the comic. There were some little small things. I think it might be people might want to call them nitpicks, but there were some small things that I was just like, but I would say if anything was a favorite part to me, it was the cameo. Yeah, and so I can say that, and everyone who's seen the movie knows what cameo I'm talking
I know
about. But if
exactly
you
what you're
haven't
talking
seen the
about.
movie, you don't know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
that was probably my favorite part because it's like I kind of saw where that was going, and I thought the cameo was very well done.
Yeah, it was really well done. We'll make it a topic in a couple of weeks. We'll wait to probably the last DPS of the year, give people a chance to go see it. And we'll make it an actual official topic that we can like just talk about because I really did like the movie, but I do agree with Slow-Mo, and there are some things that we could definitely nitpick in the movie, but we're not going to do it right now because everybody hasn't seen it. But shout out to everybody that has seen it, and shout out to Big Bad Mo. He said thanks for the gift, Anonymous. He is appreciated. True Serum says, Anonymous, you're the best Xbox guy ever. So shout out, you basically making him feel, stop making that man blush right now. But
I see someone in the chat real quick. So I before we go, I just want to hey Forte, how is Sonic Frontier selling at your store?
so shout out, so let's get some backstory to this. So I'm sitting at work and I get this random text from Slow-Mo, and he's like, hey, how's Sonic Frontier selling at your store? I was like, well, it's sold out. All copies of every copy is sold out on all platforms. And then he was like, oh, okay. And then I texted him again saying, I think it might be due to the fact that this game's on sale for $39.99. And he said, oh, that figures. And I was like, why are you asking? He said, Everborn is over here talking a bunch of junk. And I was like, oh, are they live right now? And he was like, yes, I'm on the show. So I go tune into the show, and they're talking about how God of War Ragnarok how Sonic Frontiers is going to outsell God of War Ragnarok. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's no way that God of War. There's
the
no
thoughts
way
of men who, when they pump their gas, they look around so that no one's looking, then they bend down and they sniff that gas as it's coming out. That is the high, okay? That's what I'm talking about. You sniff gas fumes, you think Sonic Frontiers is going to outsell God of War Ragnarok.
I will say this though, Erodimus. He didn't ask me if God of War was sold out, and I would have told him. He would have said, "Hey, how's God of War doing?" I would have been like, "Well, we had like over 100 copies of God of War for PlayStation 5, and I think I got like 20 left. And I had about 60 for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4. And guess what? PlayStation 4 version's completely sold out, and I've been out for like a week."
Well, I mean, because like there's way more PlayStation 4s out there than PlayStation 5s. Yeah, it makes sense.
So if
but
you ask me,
you did tell me overall you sold more God of Wars.
Oh yeah, easily. I sold
than
way,
Sonic Frontier.
I sold way more God of Wars.
You got 10 copies of Sonic Frontier in every platform and it sells out. Well, I mean, so what? All right, so you sold 30 copies of it.
I actually had a little bit more than that, but
it doesn't matter. It sold less than God of War is what matters.
It did. I thought that was funny, and I think he was just trying to stir the pot a little bit. Shout out to you, Everborn, for doing that. I appreciate you. But I thought that was funny because Slovo it was just a random text while I was at work. He just asked me about how's it selling at my store. I was like, where are we going with this? He doesn't even care about Sonic. Why does he care?
Sure don't. And I did play it, and I fell asleep on it. So it's great. It's great digital NyQuil. No, I didn't play them. It's it's locked to 60 frames per second on PC.
Ugh.
Right. Who does that? Anyway,
anybody that lock games period to 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second.
I really think it's a Japanese developer thing because From Software did that way. From Software does that with all their games on PC. They lock it to 60 frames, and I think I have to double check. I think Persona 5 is locked to 60 on PC as well.
Everborn says, I drive a Tesla. I haven't pumped gas in years. Well, Everborn, do you live next to a gas station? Because those fumes might be a little too close still.
You sniffing something is what we're saying, okay? And there's a lot of stuff to sniff in New York, so I don't want to hear it.
Oh, he ain't Yonkers. Oh, yeah, you're in Yonkers. So, yeah, shout out to you, man. Make sure you go by and tell Boom we said hi, because you're probably literally 5 minutes away from him.
No, Boom is also on this Sonic Frontiers is going to outset God of War Ragnarok.
Wait. Was there an article or something?
Whatever gas leak is going on in their neighborhood, they're both under the same influence.
Was there an article or something about this somewhere that I missed that made this a conversation?
No, it's just Everborn being Everborn.
Oh, Everborn being Everborn. Okay, yeah. Got you. Okay. Well, guess what, Everborn? You can always say that, the Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 probably made more money than God of War, because that might be true. But when it comes to like the game itself, no, sir. Not at all. But really appreciate you, Sonic, for the win. Shout out to Dead Proof. Shout out to you guys, man. For myself, you're already on the channel. Sub to it if you haven't. Hit the membership tiers. Always a great time having you guys here. We shout you out every episode that we have. And make sure you come back for next week's episode, which will be 112 on the homie Slow-Mo's channel as we wind down the rest of the year. And next week, we actually will be doing the Game Awards. And if I'm not mistaken, Ramon Terrell will be joining us for that once again for his third time doing it. And that's going to be a great time. So we'll talk about what time we're going to start the show, because it's probably going to be a little earlier than normal because the Game Awards, it starts earlier.
It's like either 7:30 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
That 7:30 might be the pre-show.
Right.
We are not doing that.
No, we're not doing that. That's
so
that's definitely going to be boring.
So if it's the actual show starts at 8, that's when we'll start. But
Yep.
we'll let you
We'll
guys
let you
know
guys
if we're going
know.
a little early.
So with that, you guys have a great week. We appreciate you. Enjoy the games you're playing. Enjoy everything
Ooh,
else.
real quick.
Yeah, go
In
ahead.
addition, as we did last year, instead of doing a full episode, I think what we did like the last couple of years we did this
Mm-hmm.
was so for the audio only listeners, for the re-upload, what we'll just have is the part where we talk about the post,
Yeah, the
our
post
post
show.
kind of post show thoughts and impressions about the video game awards, where we could discuss like reveals, what we thought, who actually won game of the year, blah 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 blah. Like that part will be on the audio part. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh man, I'm not trying to listen to y'all talk about stuff that I can't see for 3+ hours, don't worry, you're only going to get like that 45 minutes at the end, or an hour, whatever the heck else it is. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. And I'm grateful that Slumber will be hosting that, so I ain't got to worry
Oh,
about
man.
it. Thank you Thanksgiving for making us skip a day. All right, guys, you guys have a good week. Well, let's get Slumber up out of here so you can go take some NyQuil per his doctor Erodimus, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace. All right, now I'm going to stay here until you turn off this thing for the